All of our guests today are sponsored by our newest client, that's Langley Chrysler. Langley Chrysler, your #1 celebration destination, offering up to 25% off Jeep and Ram. Visit them online at langleychrysler.com as we bring in Jeff Paterson to talk about Tanner Pearson and what the Canucks are up to. Jeff, second time this week. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, guys. You're just about through the first week here, so congrats on that. And I must say, I've added this to my list of, things that I would truly love to experience in my life. And one of them is I would love to sit in on a meeting of the Halifax chapter of the Rick Dollywell fan club.
Yeah, that was, yeah, exactly. You know, I've been to, where was the Memorial Cup, Jeff?
Moncton.
I've been to Moncton.
Apparently you weren't in Moncton, or maybe you
just,
were, but
anyways.
Yeah.
I've been to Moncton. It's a beautiful place, back east. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Maritimes.
06 Memorial Cup?
06 Memorial Cup. Absolutely. Went there.
Giants were there.
Giants were there. Great time there. Thank you, Jeff. We have fans coast to coast all over the place.
Okay.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Can we ask Jeff some questions now?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Jeff, the obvious question, your reaction to the Tanner Pearson contract extension, 3 years, $325 per.
Yeah, a little rich for my liking, but the deal is done. And we just sat through 40 minutes of Jim Benning talking about COVID, but also talking about the contract for both him, for Pearson, and for Thatcher Demko. And it's the first chance that we had to hear from the general manager, who believes that because of all of the factors that have sort of conspired to derail this season, COVID first and foremost, but the schedule and the division and everything else, I asked him, I said, what makes you as an organization believe that this is a bet that you wanted to make, that there's 3 more productive seasons to come for Tanner Pearson? And Jim Benning feels that when they get back to a normal schedule and the way that things used to be, that, that's going to allow Tanner Pearson to bounce back from, let's be honest, it's been a disappointing season for him. It's been a disappointing season for a number of players statistically when we're talking about the play on the ice. And for a second-line player who's had power play time, 6 goals and 11 points in 33 games is underwhelming. But a year ago, Tanner Pearson had a fine season. And I want to be clear that my criticism is not about Tanner Pearson, the person at all, or even Tanner Pearson, the player. I just have this concern that 3 years by the back end, look, there's a long list of Canuck players that have not aged well, who have been signed by Jim Benning in their late 20s and in front of the GM's eyes, whether it's, Louis the gold star example there, but Beagle and Roussel, and before that, Brandon Sutter. You go back to Sam Gagner. Sven Berti was a little younger when he signed his contract, but there is this list of guys who haven't aged well after they've been signed by the Vancouver Canucks. And so Tanner Pearson, for all the things that are said about him and from everything I know from myself dealing with him and what I hear from the coaching staff, he is very well liked and respected in that room. He's got the Stanley Cup pedigree and everything else. But ultimately, it's what do you do on the ice? And at some point, this organization has to find value. And I just worry that we're in this period right now where even the general manager himself said at that midseason availability, 2 more years. Well, he means in 2 years they'll be out from under a lot of those contracts I just mentioned. But this Tanner Pearson one, to me, has the potential to sort of go right back onto that list of guys that, aren't terribly productive, that start falling in the lineup. If he drops into a bottom 6 role, now all of a sudden you're paying a guy $3.25 million to be in the bottom 6. And if he's still in the top 6 by the time his contract expires, that means that they haven't done a terrific job of building out this roster, not just around Tanner Pearson, but around this elite core that I think we all think is there. But I don't know. I'm not sure that this contract is going to age particularly well.
Do you think Jim Benning was influenced at all by what happened last year, that they were unable to sign their major UFAs? Would that have had an influence on him with Tanner Pearson? He didn't want to have that happen again, at least keep one of them?
Yeah, I think that there's an element of that. The organization obviously got roasted, and I don't imagine that they liked the blowback. And so they're probably a little bit surprised that, hey, they signed a guy rather than letting him walk away, and they're getting roasted for that as well. But I do think just the optics of that many players getting to unrestricted free agency, and we know that there was some confusion about prioritizing guys and communication and everything else. ultimately, the Canucks felt that this was a deal that they wanted to make. And you're at a point in time where every dollar matters. We know that there are still the Peterson and Hughes deals to come. I'm a little surprised at the order that Demko got his deal and then Pearson. And Jim reiterated today that, exploratory talks, and I know you guys just had J.P. Barry on the program, so they're nowhere close to getting deals done for Hughes and Peterson, but it just kind of felt to me that even though there is money allocated for these guys, every dollar matters. I would have thought that you would want to hammer out those types of contracts first and get a better lay of the land in your salary cap structure, and from there, then deal with some others. But they've chosen to do it in a different order. They've got Demko locked up for 5 years, and now they've got Pearson back for the next 3.
Jeff, do you think the organization is surprised? I mean, Canucks Twitter was on fire last night. It was absolutely, I would say to you, 85% negative. I mean, it really was. I mean, we're doing the show so we couldn't see Jim. But do you get the sense that they understand that, there's a lot of heat on this team right now?
And so there should be. I mean, let's be honest. They've qualified for the playoffs once under Jim Benning. They've been to the playoffs twice, but last year they didn't punch their ticket to the playoffs. They were invited to a 24-team expanded playoff tournament. And then once they got in, they did some good things, and good on them. But in terms of absolutely qualifying on their own, you can't say that they were going to make the playoffs last year. When COVID hit, they were right there at the playoff bar, and there were 13 games to go. And so I think people, they want to see progress. They want to see steps taken here that are going to allow the Canucks to surround this young core, Peterson and Besser and Hughes, and I still put Horvat in there, even though he just turned 26. But and this is the concern where I come back to you got to find value, and it just kind of feels like, is Tanner Pearson going to be value ultimately when they get into this competitive window that they've been talked about? And so it kind of feels like more of the same. It kind of feels like they're spinning their wheels a little bit here. And so, I mean, they've got to be sensitive to what's happening out here in the marketplace. There's nowhere to hide. And you're right, yesterday, and that's where I come back, Rick, to the fact that this isn't at all about Tanner Pearson, the person. It's not about Tanner Pearson, the player even. It's Tanner Pearson and the contract. And at some point, they're going to inject Vasily Podkolzin next year. That's good. I'm excited about that. We've seen what Höglander's done in his rookie season. I think people want to see Podkolzin. We know that he was 10th overall pick. He'll be part of what they're trying to build here. But it's the fact that so many other guys are still under contract for next year. How much improvement, realistically, is there going to be for the Vancouver Canucks next season when you look at the cap issues? And Jim himself, 20 minutes ago, just said, we don't think that we've got cap issues. And yet from the outside, everybody looks... And so, I don't know... I'm not sure why he even ventures down that path. He can think that, but to make that as a public statement when we're at a point in time where there's more information available to fans. I think fans are more intelligent than ever before. They can look at cap friendly. They can do the math here and realize that the Canucks have 2 defensemen under contract for next season. You have to round out your roster. And that's where I come back to every dollar matters. And so I wasn't surprised at all that there was a little bit of pushback after the Tanner Pearson deal. The timing is a little strange. Why now? Why couldn't they have let this one wait to see if Tanner Pearson gets back from this ankle injury? Can he salvage his season with however many games he and the Canucks are able to play? I don't know why this had to be done now, but Jim said that they discussed with the agent and they felt that this was going to be the ask in the summer and the Canucks wanted to keep the player, so this is the deal, and it's done now, but it feels like another example of the Canucks sort of, bargaining against themselves. I don't know that Tanner Pearson gets this contract in unrestricted free agency. I just don't know in a flat cap world. And so I think his agent did a nice piece of work here to get him 3 years at $3.25 million.
His agent was just named the Agent of the Year 5 minutes ago.
Was that by the Halifax chapter of the Rick Caldwell fan club?
Don's looking at me like, really? What? It's a joke.
I believed you.
No, but you gave me that look. Give me a break. Anyway,
I think he's agent of the week for sure. Agent of the year, that may still be determined.
No.
That's up for grabs.
But Jeff, quickly, I had other agents tell me that Pearson won't get a penny more than 2.5. And for this guy to get 3.2 on a 3-year deal, he is the agent of the year for me.
Negotiating against themselves. You said it, Jeff.
That's it.
Hey,
That's it.
What he got trade? He got trade protection. He got Seattle protection, and he got same day delivery. Like, they had to wait a week before they announced the Demko signing finally, but they made the Pearson one official on the same day that it went down. So it kind of felt like they were just almost anything. Hey, what do you want? We're here to give it to you.
Brought to you by Langley Chrysler. It's Jeff Paterson. Thanks for this, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Congrats on week 1. Looking forward to being a part of week 2, and have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
so much, Jeff.